the kids have understandably really struggled and missed their mum, but yet they've still managed to keep going and be happy within themselves. They've questioned about, when's mum coming back? Is there any way we can bring mum back? Can we make a time machine and go and change anything? Jo was diagnosed with lung cancer in March of 2015. So before that, she'd been to the GP a few times about a persistent cough, probably about a year beforehand, and there was concerns about it. By the time that she went on her third and final time to the GP, she'd coughed blood. The GPs, because she was so young, she was 36 at the time, and she was a non-smoker, and they were adamant that it was so unlikely that there was anything wrong with her other than just a cough. She's got young children, they are little petri dishes of disease, and that there was no problem, it would pass. So the actual diagnosis was a real hammer blow, I think, for her and for us all. She was basically told she had months to live and that she needed to tie up her affairs. And for both of us, that it was like being sucked into a black hole. Jo was a real fighter. For her, Jo was a real fighter, and I think after the initial kind of punch of getting the diagnosis, she kind of collected herself and really she wanted to work out what she could do best for her family, but also how best she could fight this disease and live with it. She saw a specialist down in Edinburgh who was absolutely wonderful, who gave her hope as well. An important thing for her was to kind of maintain this family life, this normal life. She wanted to keep on going to work. Her work was so important to her, and to keep that kind of air of normalcy about her, as if this was something that she was dealing with and she was coping with, and life carries on. And this is something that she wanted to imbue with her children as well, and to myself and her family as well. You don't stop for this disease. You keep on going, and that's how you fight it. And I think she just embodied that just brilliantly. Jo died in July 2018. She deteriorated. She managed to keep going for 3 years after the initial diagnosis. She kept her life as she wanted to keep it for so long over that period. She did some wonderful things. She went on holiday with her brothers and her mother to Denmark for her mother's 60th birthday. She wrote a lot of stuff for the kids and really tried to just squeeze out the most she could in those last few months she had. She made some photo albums, which I gave them on the anniversary of her death, just to kind of remind them. And they're half finished. It shows their lives with her. And it's a really good memory for them. But then there's the other half of the photo album. They're desperate to see their mum again, but they understand as well that they can't. And so they try and keep her memory alive. Looking after them as a single parent, it's quite odd. We never, Jo was adamant that I was to die before she did. It was something we always joked about after the diagnosis. She said this is not fair. Women are always supposed to outlive their husbands. I miss her every day. I think about her a lot. But we keep going, and there's a lot of good within the world because of what she did for us and what she's left behind. So wanting to share this story, I think, speaks to what Jo would have wanted. She campaigned so much. It was so important for her to help people understand what lung cancer means, and so that nobody would have to go through it, go through what she has had to go through and what's happened to her kids and to her family as well. And that is something for me that I think is really important, to be able to keep that legacy alive. I think in the lead up to the diagnosis, because we had so much going on in our lives. We had a young family. There was a 2.5-year-old to look over after a 5-year-old. Our life was just a bustle of getting from one thing to the next, going to work, dealing with things. If we'd been more forceful, not forceful, just more, but more kind of the idea that perhaps something was more seriously wrong with her, with the GPs, or tried to push something along that, I think that would have been my regret on that front. So if anyone's worried about getting diagnosed, my only thing that I can say is urge people to go and get tested. Just go and see, because the earlier you're engaged in this, the earlier you're part of it, and that you can be on that trail towards being treated, is the earlier that you can be seen and helped. It means that you have a much better chance of survival, and you won't have to experience the pain and the suffering that we have had to go through. It's just vital. My other hope is that we can invent time machines and we can go back and bring back the loved ones that we've lost.